Hello and welcome to my dungeon. Normally when I go outside, little things happen, but today a big thing happened. I couldn't believe that I witnessed it. Like I could believe because it's me, and so like, of course. Strap your boots down. I think that's the term. Pull up those britches and let's get storytelling. I went to the gym. I know. Wow, I had no idea. You've never said you go to the gym. Sorry, okay, I'm sorry. I go to the gym a lot, and so therefore a lot of my stories are gym related, but it has nothing to do with the gym specifically. I know, no Bobby, no Overwatch guy, like there's nothing weird. I witnessed something. Are your boots strapped? I go to the gym at am driving on the way to the gym, and the thing is about my car, Silas, my wonderful, wonderful car. The thing I'm still getting used to is his front bumper is kind of closer to the ground than my old car, Ella. So whenever I hit like a bump, the bumper kind of scrapes the ground, which I'm still getting kind of used to. And I know when people are going to see my car and they're going to be like, huh, that's totally a chick car because only girls hit curbs, blah, blah, blah. I haven't hit a curb. I kind of did, but it was okay. So what had happened was at my gym, the parking is like this, right? So you pull up and then, the first time it happened, because I didn't realize my bumper was so low, and anyway, it only happened once of that specific thing happening. The dips in the road are a little different of a story. But anyway, the first time I went to park in one of those weird spots, with Ella, I had no issue. But with Silas, I immediately went, oh, I felt it in my core. And so I slowly backed up and I'm like, oh. So I pull up to the gym and I see a bunch of spots are open that are like this. And there was no way I was going to be parking in those spots once again. I was going to avoid that no matter what the cost. So the only other option was parking in the very far back bit of the gym where people don't really park because there's nothing back there and you have to walk a really long way to go to the gym, right? So I go to park and I back into a parking spot. And so it was me backed into this spot. There's a white van over here and then there's like another car over here. We're evenly spaced, which also, by the way, I don't know what is wrong with the gym. Their parking spots are made for ants. Like I have tried, even with Ella, even with my tiny, tiny little Hyundai accent, even with her, I could barely squeeze into some of these spots. And it's just, I don't know why they would make them so small because you have to open the door. They're acting like you just phase through the car to get out. Like you have to open a door. Time for leg day, I guess. Get my bag, put my bag in my lap, but then my friend John texts me and he goes, hey, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, I gotta respond to him because I don't really text John all that often. So I was like, blah, 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 blah. And we were just blah, 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 eating back and forth. And then all of a sudden I hear a kong, 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 kong. And I go, and I start looking around because it sounded like a car accident. And I'm looking and I don't see, there's no cars. And then I look over to my right and I see the white minivan shaking like abruptly like this, like both, not like this way, but like it was like a teeter-totter kind of. I was like, is there an earthquake? I was like, what is happening? And then I see this black SUV kind of pull up a little bit and I realized that this person backed up into the white van somehow, and like it, because the way that the parking lot is, it's like a weird triangle rectangle. There is a parking spot here and there's been so many times where I have not parked there because I'm like, someone's gonna hit my car. It wasn't my car, but a car was hit and I witnessed it. And so I'm sitting there going, did anyone else just see this happen? Am I the only one? And so I look and I see there are cameras. I'm like, okay, good. The building has cameras. Good. I have proof if I need to be, right? And so I'm sitting there with my thumbs right, because I just couldn't believe that I just watched this happen. And it wasn't like a little bonk. I heard a crash and then the car was shaking and so I'm watching it and I see a woman get out of the driver's seat and then another woman get out of the passenger seat and they walk over and they're looking at the white car and then they're looking and I'm going, they better write a note. They better write a note. This is gonna be crazy because they better write a note. And I see them and then she goes and gets a piece of paper and I'm like, oh, great, okay. Whew, she's gonna write a note. But just in case, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna watch her. I don't know if she saw me, but there was a lot of cars there, so she probably knew there were eyes on her. I see her get a note, she walks back over to the white van. I'm like, okay, good, she's leaving them a note. But then I was like, what if she's pretending? What if she's pretending? You know, I was like, what if she's just getting a piece of paper, pretending to write, pretending to leave a note? Because the thing is like, the minivan was kind of like, it did look a little wonky. It did kind of look like it had been around for like 50 years. You know, it had some scratches on itself already. And so I was kind of like, but it's the right thing to do. If you make a boo-boo, you gotta make up for the boo-boo, you know? I'm sitting there watching this develop and I see her walk back to her car and I'm thinking, okay, good, she left the note. Why is the note still in her hand? Why is she getting in the car? Why is she getting in the car? Why is she getting in the car? And as I see her close the door, I immediately pull up my notes app because I knew she was making a run for it. So I open my notes app and the logical thing is, oh, we're gonna write down the make of the car. We're gonna write down the license plate, correct? Wrong. Because the thing is, we're not very good texters. At least I'm not. Like I do. You ever type something and it's completely wrong, but autocorrect pulls in and helps you? That is what I was concerned about, is because either autocorrect was gonna try to correct it and then I was gonna lose the license plate, or I was gonna type it wrong and not realize it because I'm focused on looking at it and I can't look down at my fingers to make sure I'm typing it in right. You see where I'm going with this? So my big brain hits the voice option. Now it's not a voice recording, but when you press the microphone and you're like 2479 hut, it writes it out for you. I don't know why I just went into football mode, but anyway, I see her pull off, hit the microphone, and I go 2474 hut, blah blah blah. Black Ford, blah, blah, blah. I just said the whole thing and I see doot, 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 doot. The only thing is she took off real fast. So there was one letter. It was either a 7 or a Z. I couldn't figure out, and my car was off, and I didn't want to take off after her, and then I was thinking like, oh, I should have just gotten out of the car and made her stay responsible, and she wouldn't have run off, and now I have to write this down, and I have to go into my gym, be like, hey, someone's car got hit, here's the information, she had the piece of paper, so I thought she was gonna do the right thing, which was silly of me, I guess. I look down and I see, yes, I have the license plate. I have the make of the car. This is good. And as I look up, I see a man walking towards where I was, and there was not many cars, and he looked like he was looking at the white minivan. And so I go, okay, he's either curious as to what was going on, or 2, that's his car, and was curious as to what was going on, or maybe he didn't know what was going on, and it's his car. So he walks a little closer, a little closer, a little closer, and I'm like, yep, that's his car. So I get out of the car, I'm like, hey, so sorry, is this your car? I'm still holding the phone, by the way, just in case you're wondering. Is this your car? And he goes, yeah, I saw some stuff going on. I'm like, yeah. I was like, I'm so sorry. Some lady hit your car. And he goes, oh, really? And I go, yeah, but don't worry. I wrote down her license plate. I got the make of the car. I got everything. I thought she was going to leave a note. And he goes, well, it is my dad's car. So, and like this guy looked like my age. And so I'm like, oh, you got a dad? Sorry. Dad joke, sorry. And I'm like, oh, well, do you want the information? So he looks at it and like, weirdly enough, it didn't really look like there were any scratches. I mean, there was at the front of the car, but I don't know if those were there. I thought they hit the back of the car. I don't know, because I didn't see that bit. I just saw the white car going, I don't know how I made that voice. I text him the information and all of a sudden I hear, meow. I look up and there's a guy in a golden car and he gets out and he goes, did she leave a note? And I go, no, she didn't. He goes, I saw the whole thing. I like locked eyes with her. And so I thought she was going to leave the note because I locked eyes with her. So she definitely knew I saw. And I was like, oh, okay. And he goes, yeah, I recorded it. And he pulled, this guy was so hyped on adrenaline. Like I had my pre-workout going. Whenever I have my pre-workout, I like to run after, pre-workout because it just makes me feel zen. Is that normal? So this guy, he pulls out his phone and he hits the play button on his recording and he's like, his hand is shaking and the recording is shaking, so it's got double shaking. And he goes, yeah, I tried to get the license plate right there. And I was like, oh, it's okay. I like wrote it down. And he goes, oh, okay. And they looked at what I had and they looked at what he had. And he's like, yeah, that looks about right. And I was like, yeah. He's like, I can't believe she just took off. And I was like, I know. I thought she was gonna leave a note. It was crazy. The whole car was shaking. He's like, I know. I was just sitting there and I just couldn't believe it. And this poor guy's like, he just wanted to go home. I get it. After a long workout, you just want to go home. But I'm like, man, you can't let this happen. I have cat hair all over my face. So then I decide to take it a step further. And so the guy was like, okay, thank you so much for all your help. He gets in his car and I'm like, I really hope that car starts because it honestly, if I were to guess, it looked like it could potentially have frame damage with how hard it was shaking. I also don't know really how she even hit it. Like, how do you miss a giant white minivan unless you're not even looking? Anyway, so I go in and there's a guy at the counter I'd never seen before. And I was like, darn it. I was really hoping for Overwatch guy. There's also a girl who works at the gym and I see her a lot and she's really nice. So I was either hoping it was the nice girl or Overwatch guy. So I walk over and he's on the phone. He goes, hey, can I help you with something? I'm like, oh, I can wait till you're done with the phone. I can wait. And he goes, okay. So he's like, blah, 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 blah. Okay, thank you. Boop. And he goes, okay, how can I help you? And I'm like, hey, so, funny story. There was a car accident. Like a lady hit a parked car and I watched the whole thing and she just took off. I have all the information. There's also cameras back there that definitely caught it on film. I don't know if the guy's gonna come back eventually and maybe want that footage. So like maybe I should take it and like make sure it doesn't get overwritten. And the guy was like, oh, wow, that's crazy. Thanks for letting us know. And I'm like, Okay? I'm like, you really don't care. But as I was telling him that, the nice girl walked over and she sees me talking to him, and so she immediately wants in on the tea or whatever I'm saying, because like I think I'm like 95% sure she recognizes me. I know a lot of people go to the gym, but I see her a lot. And I think at some point the pink does help a little. So she's immediately locked into the conversation, and I kind of tell her what's happening, and she goes, oh my god, that's crazy. That happened here? And I was like, yeah, in the back, like where the weird parking spot is. And she's like, oh, and the guy's like, oh yeah, I know where that is. And I'm like, of course you do. Did you get his information? I was like, yeah, here's his number. I was like, I didn't get his name, but like, here's his number if he calls, and like, here's the car information that I got, and then it's just the cameras in the back. And she goes, okay, yeah, we'll definitely look into that. That's crazy. So it's like a hit and run. I'm like, yeah. I thought she was gonna write a note, and she didn't. She just took off. And then I went and I worked out, like everything was normal. But now I'm absolutely terrified to leave my new car alone, because what if somebody hits him and takes off? That is my story. And then I went and worked out, and then I walked back to my car, and then I went home, and I didn't hear anything else. I don't know if that guy was like, it's a junk car, it's fine, or if he followed through with it. I have no idea. Do the right thing, everybody. I wonder too, like I genuinely wonder if that's eating her alive. Because me personally, if I even have a dream where I do something bad, I wake up and I feel guilty. As you know what's so weird is I feel like people nowadays, you know what did it? COVID. COVID really brought out the ugly in people, because I feel like people nowadays are just so rude, and they're so mean, and they're so entitled, and they're just expecting of everything. You know? And it's like, what happened? What happened? How did we get here? Like, I know how we got here, but like, why does this happen? Because like, I think to myself, I saw a tweet. We're gonna go on a little tangent right now. I saw a tweet where it was like, oh, growing up is discovering that being nice gets you nowhere in life or something, right? And I wanted to quote tweet it and being like, being bad makes me feel bad. Like, that's why in all my video games, I'm always like a good person. And when I play video games, I try to be a healer. I try to be a support. I always try to be nice to people, because being bad makes me feel bad. And that's not necessarily being angry. You can be angry, but you can't be mean. You know, like, I don't want to hurt people. That doesn't bring me joy. Like, it makes me feel bad. And like, I don't know how people are so accustomed to just being mean, being nasty, even stuff on TikTok. Like, being a bully is like glorified on TikTok now, and I think that's so bizarre. Like, obviously there's some things where it's a little funny, you know, like, have you seen like the weird couple cringe stuff? You watch that and you're like, ugh, that, you know. But here's the other thing, right? I don't say anything. I'm not gonna comment on it like, oh, I hope this love never finds me, oh, this is cringe, you know. Like, I don't post. I see that and I go, ugh, and then I scroll, you know. I feel like no one does that. They have to voice something mean. Be nice. It's not hard, you know. And if you're, oh, my coffee order is taking longer than expected, you know, like, they're probably doing their best. And even still, if they're slacking off, you don't have to be mean. You can be stern, but you don't have to be mean. You know, you never know what someone else is going through. Someone may be having a really, really bad day, and you being a little bit mean could be detrimental to them. That was me witnessing a tiny hit and run. Thank you for listening to my story. We're still working on the dungeon, okay? I have plans, but also too, we just moved in. You know, we have to also kind of settle in, and then maybe in like 6 months I'll find a really cool painting, or maybe I will paint something cool painting. I'm gonna stop talking. But anyways, thank you for watching my video. Hope you have a fantastic day. Safe travels. Goodbye.